ItemBuilder supports a limited subset of effects and conditions. So what do you do if there's an effect or a condition that's missing from this list? For example, in this video we're going to create a chest plate that will grant a speed boost if you're wielding a sword that has fire aspect. It's kind of specific, and in fact there's no condition in here that checks if an item has a specific enchantment. There is a condition that checks if an item is enchanted at all, but not if it has a specific enchantment. So we're going to add that using user-defined effects and conditions. Note that this video will require at least a little bit of introductory knowledge on datapacks. The first thing you want to do is go into the Info tab and click User-Defined Example. That'll download a pre-existing datapack. You're going to want to unzip that and install it into the same directory as you installed ItemBuilder. Alright, so now I've opened the datapack we downloaded in Visual Studio Code. You can use any IDE you choose. Just make sure that the pack.mzmeta is in the root. Now we can go into this conditions folder and this effects folder, and we'll find one already defined, just an example. The effect will just print example user-defined effect every time it's triggered, so let's just try it to make sure that this works. So in order to create user-defined effects and conditions in ItemBuilder Studio, we first need to go into the Settings tab and enable them. Make sure this box is ticked. What that will do is add user-defined to the bottom of this list. Now we defined user-defined number 1, so we're going to select that. Let's try out an item that just does that. That just has this one effect here. Alright, so if we put on the chest plate, yep, we get our example user-defined effect. So what this means is that you can put anything you want into this user-defined effect, any Minecraft commands into here, and it will do that when that effect is triggered. It's completely modular, and you can use this effect with in combination with any other conditions or filters or anything. This bit at the top tells you how you can retrieve various information about the effect. For example, you're given the ability to type 2 parameters into the effect, value and value 2, and you can use these scoreboards to retrieve them. You also have the no sound checkmark, which will be either 0 or 1. And then lastly, if you want to do item modification, this cur slot will tell you which slot you're currently executing on. So if it's a main hand item, it'll be 1. So if you're ever doing something like, for example, in this item, we're going to be detecting if the item has sharpness 2 when we write a condition. So we're going to need to make a case for all 7 of these slots right here. If we go into a condition, we can see similar stuff here. We have 2 parameters, and we also have the scoreboard value we have to set to determine whether the condition is true or not. If we leave this value at 0, then this condition will be false and it won't execute everything inside of it. But if we set condition result to 1, then that means it will execute everything inside of it. You make sure you need to set it to only 0 or 1. Don't set it to any other value or things will break. So for example, if you want to make a condition of is the player standing on top of a gold block, you do something like execute if block tilde tilde negative 1 tilde gold block run. There you go. Run scoreboard player set condition result value 1. And this will make it so that this condition will be true if the player is standing on a gold block, but otherwise the scoreboard value will be left at 0, and thus the condition will be false. So that's kind of how you would write a condition. If you want to add more user-defined effects and conditions, just continue to follow this naming pattern. So the next one would be UD2, UD3, you can go all the way up to UD40 if you'd like. So let's modify this to instead do our sharpness condition, and we're going to need to use this cur slot here. I'm just going to sort of copy and paste the code and explain it to you. Alright, here's the code written out. So as you see, we have to go through each of the different, we have to hard code each of the different possible slots it could be. If we're talking about the main hand slot, then we need to check the main hand slot for fire aspect. If we're talking about the offhand slot, we need to check the offhand slot for fire aspect. We also have this trident one here. The 7th slot represents a thrown trident, so we need to check the trident entity. This is kind of edge case, but you don't even have to support this if you don't want to. You only have to really support the slots that you want to, but I like to support all 7 of the currently supported slots. Alright, so we can now test out our chest plate that grants speed if you have a fire aspect sword. So let's try it out. Alright, so we have our filter to execute on item equip slot main hand. Then we have our custom condition, which checks if that item has fire aspect, and then the effect will be plus movement speed. Let's try it out. Alrighty, put on the chest plate, and there's our fire aspect sword. There we go, we get speed if it has fire aspect, but if we have a sword that is not enchanted with fire aspect, or just has some other enchantment that isn't fire aspect, we will not get speed, only if we are holding the fire aspect sword. So the last thing is that user-defined filters are not supported. Writing a filter requires deep knowledge on how ItemBuilder works under the hood, so I can't really tutorialize how to make them. If you'd like to look at the code for existing effects or conditions, you can find them in the data pack under the function/item folder. So now that you know how to create user-defined effects and conditions, ItemBuilder is really opened up, and you can pretty much do whatever you need to do within the game, while still maintaining the ability to create items really quickly and easily without a whole lot of data pack coding. That's it for this video. See you in the next one.